Welcome to the Mighty Emotions Podcast. I'm your host, Giselle. I'm a certified emotions coach, and I teach you how to respond better to your emotions so you can feel better in your life. My mission is to show you how to work with your emotions to become more emotionally resilient. Your emotions are not designed to overpower you. They're designed to empower you. On this podcast, I share what our emotions are, how to understand them and work with them, and the tools you need to reclaim your power and get unstuck from emotional pain so you can find fulfillment in your life again. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get into the episode. Hello, beautiful souls. I am excited to be here recording this podcast for you, talking about how I healed from burnout. And I talked about it briefly on my Instagram, talked about it briefly in different places, but I recently was experiencing such burnout in my life, overall, in general, with family life, with work life, with all of the obligations and responsibilities that I have, and it was overwhelming. I was stressed, I was stretched, and I'm a human, so I have no shame in saying that. And I know that there will be moments in my life that will test me and stretch me again in the future. But today's episode is to talk to you about how I healed from it in 4 days. Because that is what's really exciting. I was able to turn around burnout in the fastest time that I've ever turned it around. Normally, like in the past, it's taken me months to recover from burnout at times because I didn't really understand that I was burnt out and I was just trying to push through and be really productive and have like a different calendar or a productive book, journal, whatever they are. You know, there's a lot of productivity porn out there. If you just use this method and this method and this method, you can just keep going and going and going until you burn out. And would take months to recover from it. I would be so exhausted. And then I started practicing emotional regulation and practicing the things that I teach in my members community, in my book. All of that will be linked for you if you'd like to join the members community and get free trainings every month. I could talk about that at the end. But I would get so wrapped up in everything going on that I wouldn't notice the burnout coming on. And then it would take months for me to heal from it. Then as I started processing my emotions, it would take maybe weeks for me to heal from it. And the other difference too, hasn't just been in how short the burnout experience has taken to recover from, but the length of time between burnout has been longer. So these are two things that have happened since I started processing my emotions and understanding burnout and understanding my needs, because that's really what burnout is about, right? It is about us going without our needs being met for so long that everything, physically, mentally, emotionally, we just shut down. We just cannot continue without our needs getting met, with our needs deprived. Like, we can't, right? And that is why these emotions show up, to try to get our awareness, try to make us pay attention before we get to the burnout stage, that we're on that path, that we need to take care of ourselves and get these core needs met. And so because I know how to self-regulate, and this is why I always tell people it's not enough to simply regulate. It's not. Sometimes it's necessary. Like, again, my life has been so hectic for the last few months that it was absolutely necessary. But the self-regulation alone is not going to prevent you from burning out. It's going to give you just some relief. It's going to help you cope. It's going to help you get to the next moment. But it's not going to address the root of that emotion. And if it goes unaddressed, it's going to lead to burnout. So I would have these emotions come up, I would process it, I would take care of myself a little bit, I would get back in the saddle, and I would ignore the emotional cues. And I'm an emotions coach, and I write about emotions, I study emotions, I know them very well, and I'm still a human being, and sometimes my priorities are out of whack. So to say all of that is to say that doing the self-regulation and regulating my emotions was not sufficient to avoid burnout. But I will say that, like I said, because this is such a part of my practice and my lifestyle, that I haven't been burnt out for a very, very long time. Despite the fact that I'm a new parent, despite the fact that I've had a toddler, a baby without, a community of support necessarily. I don't live near any family or anything like that. no babysitter, nothing like that. It's been full-time mom and dad for years now. And just with my business, and anyone who has a business knows how much energy and emotional energy, physical energy, mental energy goes into having a business. So trust me, I've been busy, but I didn't burn out. I haven't been burned out because I was really prioritizing and practicing the things that I teach about. But in the last little while, I've been neglectful. And so I ended up being burned out. And what burnout feels like for me is just procrastination. I was going to say laziness, but no. It feels like a lot of procrastination, a lot of dragging my heels, a lot of not having any desire, really feeling disconnected from myself. And as a result of that, I just kind of felt demotivated. And none of the stuff that I was doing to motivate me was working. And that's kind of when I know that I've hit burnout, when like nothing is giving me that quick fix anymore. Like I've reached the stage where the coping strategies are failing, everything is failing, the regulation is like not lasting as long, and I thought, okay, I need to address what's going on. And every time that I've recovered from burnout, I learned something. And so I wanted to share with you what this time taught me that I hadn't realized before, or I needed to be reminded of. So the first thing is the speed at which I was going through my life, the pace. Like literally, I'm a manifesting generator. I don't know if anyone listening to this is into human design, but we're apparently very quick, need to be doing a lot of things, multi-passionate people. I've always been very, I like having a lot of things to do on the go. I like being busy. I like being stimulated. But I wasn't doing the work to slow down. And when I say slow down, I don't mean just externally, because I can't necessarily slow down externally. I have a lot of things to do. I have people that depend on me. I have responsibilities and obligations. The slowing down I'm talking about is internal. It's me taking time to observe what's coming up in the present, in my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, the stories, all of it. And it's about just seeing things or moving through the things I'm doing in almost slow motion, right? Everything I'm doing, I'm trying to rush. I'm trying to get it done as quick as possible. It's all this energy, all these cortisol, adrenaline, all these hormones, right? And things are getting done, but I'm so wiped at the end of it. I've accomplished all these things on my list, but I just zombied my way through it. And so now I'm like, okay, when I need to slow down more, I don't need to necessarily put pause on everything in my life like I was doing before. I would take some time off here, take some time off there. I'm still taking time off. We'll get to that in a second. But I need to slow down more so that it doesn't get to that, right? I do my check-ins with myself at the end of the day overall, but there were things that I was just kind of like, I don't need to deal with that now. I don't need to deal with that now. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'm deliberately like, I don't want to deal with that. I'm just going to push that away. And then it's like, okay, it needs to be dealt with, right? It needs to be dealt with now. So I do my check-ins, but in the moment throughout the day, I'm trying to slow down and do things from an internal standpoint of, okay, if I had all the time in the world to do this, how would I do it? And trying to approach things from that standpoint. The next thing I want to talk about is the realization I had that a lot of my burnout comes from specific needs not being met. And what I mean by that is, obviously, my needs aren't being met, which is what led to the burnout. But whose needs? Is it Giselle the mom's needs? Is it Giselle the wife's needs? Is it Giselle the friend's needs? Or is it Giselle the human's needs? And that is what I had kind of lost sight of with the speed that I was going at. I was so focused on getting all these things done. I had not slowed down to really reflect and really align my values with what I was doing. And I had forgotten to connect to myself as a person. That was the biggest thing that this period of burnout and recovering from this burnout has taught me, is that I need to just take off the hats that I wear and the roles that I have. And this can be really hard because sometimes we really identify with these roles, right? Sometimes we forget that these roles are not who we are as a person. Like, I am a mom. It's part of who I am, but it's not who I am entirely. But I can get so consumed by that role and so consumed by that identity that I'm only focused on getting the needs that as a mom, the needs that I have, right? Because the needs I have as a friend are different from the needs I have as a wife, and the needs I have as a wife are different than the needs I have as a mom, right? If you really take the time to reflect on this in your life, what you need from certain areas of your life differs. Yes, our core needs are all the same, but I was so disconnected from my intuition, from my desires, because I wasn't allowing myself to separate from these roles and these identities and say, what do I want? Just me as a person, just me as a human. What is my soul craving? What do I want? And being honest with myself about it. And the reason I was pushing a lot of things on the back burner is because since becoming a mom, there's all these stories that I'm navigating and overcoming about what's appropriate and what's right. And I've made so many concessions because I just have struggled to figure out the right way to prioritize my values. And that's going to be an ongoing journey for sure. It is for all of us in all areas of our lives. It's like, how can I look at myself as a person first? How can I take time to myself? Do something that just me, the human, loves to do, right? So an example of this is I've been doing so many activities with my family, and I love that. And I've taken my daughter to like puppet shows and all these fun activities and play dates. But during my burnout recovery weekend, let's say a long weekend, I went to dinner with a girlfriend. I haven't done that in so long. Just me and a girlfriend chatting away. We went out after and saw some live like music, and it was just so beautiful. And then the next day I went to a convention and I met up with a whole bunch of people, and I saw people I haven't seen in a while. And I was there because, I'm a recovering addict and I'm part of these recovery communities, and it was so beautiful to hear the speakers and all of that. So I went to this event that was just nourishing to me as a person. And I went to dinner with a girlfriend where I could just be a person. There was no responsibility or obligation or involved. I was just allowed to exist there. I was allowed to be present. I was allowed to enjoy. And those two back-to-back experiences really showed me, wow, I don't make enough space to just be a human. I don't make enough space in my life to just be a human. And the longer I go without doing that, the more disconnected I get from myself, the more disconnected I get from what my true needs are and desires are as a person. I know what everyone else needs from me. I know what I need to do. But as a human, is the stuff that I'm doing really enough? Right? Is it really enough? And when we talk about self-care, I always go back to it's about self-nurturing, because self-care can be really arbitrary. Like, I was doing self-care things. I was working out. I was eating well. I was doing all that stuff, but that's not what I was needing. And so even though you're doing the self-care things, it might not be actually addressing the need that is deprived in your life. So it's so important that we know what our needs are. We understand that who we are as a person, we always come back to who am I as a person, and what do I need as just human right now? What do I need right now? And for me, it was needing that space to just be. It was needing that space to do things that I enjoyed. It was needing that space to not be in a role, not be having to do something, just allowing myself to have an experience that was pleasurable. And so, with that being said, I decided that I'm going to book a solo trip. And I'm going to tell you guys all about it. I'm going to somewhere I've always wanted to go, during a season I've always wanted to go in, and I'm going by myself for a long weekend. And I'm so excited because solo trips bring my soul alive. I love traveling solo and exploring a city. I wouldn't travel solo to like the countryside necessarily, but I love traveling solo, exploring a city, and just getting lost in museums and art and activities and parks. And I can't wait. I live in a beautiful city, and I'm going to a beautiful city and by myself. I'm going to be in a hotel. It's going to be magical. It's going to be magical. And it's a moment for me to just reconnect to who I am as a person, what my interests are, what I enjoy, to take my time with things. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And the reason that I was able to make that decision was because I had that space to heal from that burnout. and realize, okay, you need to slow down internally a lot more, and you need to get back to who you are and reconnect to just being a human for a moment. And what do you need as a human right now, and tending to that, and to honor those desires that I have, those things inside you, those nudges that say, oh, I want to do that thing. Oh, you know what? I'd really like to do that. Spend more time asking yourself, what do I really want to do? What is the thing that I'm like, I would really like that. That sounds really good. I would really enjoy that. I think I would really love that. What are those things? Give yourself permission to explore. Give yourself permission to be honest about it. And then prioritize it, right? There's a lot of things in my life, like I said, going on in my life, but I'm prioritizing this solo trip. I'm doing it. I'm saying, you know what? Everything else can be on hold for a few days so that I can reconnect to myself and have this trip. And that is important. And as a result of that, so much magic and beauty and wonderful things are going to come as a result of that. I firmly believe it, that we have to honor our needs. We have to honor our needs, because when we don't, that's when the burnout happens. And it is possible to recover from the burnout, but only by honoring our needs. Had I just taken those days off and just kind of did nothing, I wouldn't have recovered from my burnout, right? It was because I went out for dinner with my girlfriend. It was because I went to this convention. It's because I took that action to getting those needs met. That helped me recover from my burnout so much faster than ever before. So if you feel like you're nearing burnout, if you feel like you're burnt out, what do you need? Not you, whatever your roles are in your life. You as a human being, what would light up your soul? What would excite you? What would feel so nourishing for you? Please do that. Do that. And the consequences of that might seem scary, but as a result of you fueling yourself and nourishing yourself, so much good is going to come as a result of that. So trust that it will strengthen your intuition, it will realign you, and it will get you back to a place where you can do the things you want to do in the other areas of your life. As a result of healing from my burnout, I was like, yes, I'm back to work. I'm back to getting all these things done. I have energy to put into the things that I haven't had energy to put into. One of those things being my private members community, which is free, by the way. It is members.mightyemotions.com. And I realized that even though I was, putting resources in there and I was posting regularly in there, I wasn't fueling it the way that I wanted to. And so I decided I'm going to structure it now. And so you're actually going to be getting basically a paid membership for free every month. I'm going to be doing, every month we're going to have a topic and a theme. You can see this all on the landing page. And I'm going to give you 2 free video trainings, a members only podcast episode, articles, resources. You can ask me your questions and get coaching from me for free. Within this membership every single month. So this month we're talking about healthy relationships and having healthy relationships. And trust me, you haven't heard this advice elsewhere. We're talking about it from a foundational place, from a realistic place, a practical place, the Mighty Emotions way, right? Full of compassion for ourselves, full of compassion for the people we're in relationship with. But you're learning how to, what are the core elements of a healthy relationship? How can we have successful relationships that are thriving and long lasting? How can we know, boundaries, what our boundaries are in our relationships? All of that. I'm giving so much to you for free every month. And then when September is over, you're going to get new content for October, and each month going on and on and on. So like I said, it's free to join, members.mightyemotion.com. You can check the link below. And join us and learn and get this information that I wish more people had in the world, because when we aren't taught these things, we're just kind of fuddling through life, and sometimes we can hear advice that sounds good but isn't actually what's most supportive for us in a bigger picture level. And I definitely see a lot of advice online that I'm like, it sounds good, and if you don't have any context or nuance, it can seem like the right advice, but it can also really lead us astray. So I'm always trying to show you things with nuance and teach you the principles of things, and not just tactics and strategies and things like that. So when we're talking about healthy relationships, we're really talking about across the board how we have these healthier relationships. And I'm so excited. They're amazing video trainings. articles, all of it. The private members only podcast I've been wanting to do for a while, so I'm excited to bring you guys exclusive episodes in the membership or in the community. And yeah, so I'm excited to let you guys know about that. Also, thank you to everybody who's bought my book, Outrunning Your Emotions. The feedback has been so beautiful so far. You know, one of you left a review on my Instagram, and it's such a great review. Thank you so much for sharing it. Please, if you think this book can help other people, share it with them. You know, leave reviews so that I know how it's impacting you or if it's serving you at all. It just means so much, right? And I wrote this book to help you. So I'd really love to know if it does. If it doesn't, you know, let me know. Send me a message. We can chat. And I would love to know why. And, you know, maybe I'll make an update to it or future updates to it. But in any event, I hope that you are enjoying it if you're reading it. If you haven't grabbed your copy, you can get that by going to mightyemotions.com/book, mightyemotions.com/book, and get your copy there. You can also click the link below, like I said, and grab your copy. I'm so excited for, like, it's in Barnes & Nobles. You can get it online at Barnes & Nobles. You can get it online in the UK. It's all over the world. So I'm excited for people all over the world to read it and love it, and for us to start having more compassion for ourselves by understanding that it is safe to have your emotions. We can stop making them wrong, right? And when we do stop making them wrong, we can process them more fully. And the more we practice processing them, the more we honor our needs and we nurture ourselves. And that's when we can avoid burnout. So I have a feeling by really implementing these steps, I'm not going to be burnt out for a long time. And that's a good thing. I can say confidently. And if I am, because I'm pushing things aside, I can predict when it's coming, right? So I hope this episode could also help you predict when it's coming so that you can stop it before you get to the burnout phase, for sure. Always take care of yourselves. You are important. You matter. And the last thing I'll say before I sign off, because this thought is just coming to me right now, is that a lot of times we're trying to fix ourselves using this personal development work. We're listening to this podcast. We're trying to fix ourselves. We're in the membership. We're trying to fix yourselves. Mighty Emotions is not about fixing yourself. Mighty Emotions is about understanding yourself. It's about getting to know you in this moment, how you are ticking, what you are carrying from your past. And it's about you lovingly and empoweringly saying, okay, I get to decide if this is going to continue this way or if I want it to be different, if I want it to be better. And it doesn't mean that how it is right now is wrong. It's just information, and I can love myself through the changes and through the growth, because nothing grows that isn't being nurtured. So if you want to grow, if you want to have this personal development, personal improvement, it starts by nurturing yourself. So with that, I love you for listening, and I will see you guys on the next podcast. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. It would mean so much if you could subscribe, leave a review, share with your friends and family, and let me know what you think by going to my Instagram at mighty_emotions and connecting with me and letting me know what you loved about today's episode. It really means a lot that you support this podcast, and I love coming to you each week with a new episode. So be sure to subscribe, let me know what you think, and take care of yourself.